Ultimate Warrior. Silz and Carton need to be at Mania. Get on the mic and say Dak is better than Hurts. And the crowd would lose their cool. Silz and Carton 4.0. How you doing, 304? Can you see Silz? Jalen Hurts sucks. He's a man. He's a girly man. Hey, Xander, now I probably should have followed through with it. Thank you for the super chat, dog. Yeah, because, hey, he's a girly man. Jalen Hurts is a girly man. WCW. Four Horsemen were awesome. Here's my favorite, though. Superstar Billy Graham. I love the man. He died a couple months ago, and he lived in Arizona. I met him a couple times. Man, what a great dude. I love Rowdy Piper. Hey, isn't it something? I'm like the Rowdy Piper of sports talk. I'm the Rowdy Piper of sports talk. I'll take that. NWO was good. NWO was good, too. Yes. Absolutely. Old WWF was good, too. Oh, man, I love Vader, man. Hey, get this. Manster, he was bombing. He goes over to Japan and New Japan with Antonio Inoki. And they put that mask on him. The Japanese crowd went crazy. And then he got to America with that power bomb and the mask. Just took off. Same thing with the Road Warriors. No, you're negative Nazi. Not that hard to be negative Nancy when you go 1-6 toolbox. Hey, I don't know, man. I think I got my wrestling mode on right now because of talking to The Rock and saying, all you got to do is just take a shit on Hurts. It's easy. It's not that hard. He shit the bed anyway, so. And don't worry, he won't be on the team in 2 years. So don't worry about it. Hey, they'll have Tyrod Taylor, their starting quarterback, in 2 years. You're not going to have to worry about it. I got Rowdy Piper. I did put The Rock in there. I got Ken Patera, and I got Big Van Vader. Yes, sir, baby. The Eagles have no weakness. I see a team running through the division cells. Dick Train, you know better than to talk to me like that. You know better than that, sweetie, to talk to me like that and say the Eagles are the best in the division when you've got a linebacking core that, quite frankly, seriously, what did we dub it yesterday? What Eagle Pass. Hey, Eagle Pass is the name of your four linebackers. You know how you had the four horsemen in wrestling? Here are the four linebackers that you call for the Eagles. The four Eagle Passes. Eagle Pass. This guy should make a shirt. Eagle Pass. That's the name of your linebackers. Oh, man. We might as well draft a quarterback in the second round. I think you should. Hey, Ken, you know what George the Animal Steel did before he wrestled? He was a high school teacher in Syracuse. In Syracuse, New York. He was a school teacher. George the Animal Steel. Totally true. Okay? Totally true. Says it will be Eagle train wreck. That's why Kelsey left. Hey, that's why he's getting in the ring tonight. Got to look for something better to do than watch Eagle Pass. Eagle Pass, the new name of the linebackers. What is Nolan Smith's role in this defense? Oh, Nolan Smith? He's your other outside edge rusher. Huh? All right, let me get into this here. Let's get into the topics. Oh, by the way, we did top 10 players. We also did top 10 edge rushers. We're going to do the top 10 offensive tackles. And I want to show you, I've never seen this before. I have never seen this before. I'll explain when we do it, but I've never seen people's evaluations on a position like this in my life. Usually there's like 2 or 3 dudes. That's not the case this year. That's not the case. Xander said something a couple days ago. He goes, Silz, mark it down. You can almost put this thing in gold here or put it on any column you want. Eagles are taking an offensive tackle or an offensive lineman there at 22 if they stay there. Okay? Ultra goes, earthquake in New York was caused by Lizzo and Chris Christie doing aerobics. No, I heard Chris Christie fell off his beach lawn chair, and that's what happened. Closed the bridge down again. I don't know why I said that. I apologize. Oh, God. Hey, the Jersey Bridge got shut down again. Why? Chris Christie fell off his beach chair. I want Bowers too, man. Maybe trade up for the Penn State, Oregon State kids. Hollywood's like Silz. Oh, man. Trade back and get 2 great tackles if you want. We felt the earthquake here in Bristol. Wow. I heard it went all the way through New Haven, dude. I heard that. Chris Christie for being the Golden Corral. He's so heavy, he always looks at the balance like Nick. Hey, let me just say this to you, Charlie. There's a special made Toledo for Chris Christie. It goes over 615 pounds. It's a special Toledo. Silz, I watched the film on Fontenot and Fongo, and they're good. Hey, Silz laugh at 4-7. Not quite the earthquake, but we're there. Thank you. All right. Let's do this. Have the Eagles lost too many important players to get back to an NFC championship game? Dick Train thinks that they're the best in the East and maybe the best in the NFC. You lose Kelsey Reddick and Fletcher Cox. Have you replaced that talent? Have you replaced that talent? Jason Kelsey, Hassan Reddick, and Fletcher Cox. Have you replaced that talent? Yes, the defense still has too many holes, Gabe says. Charlie, no. I think you've lost too much talent. Not acquired enough. Where have you covered Jason Kelsey, Hassan Reddick, and Fletcher Cox? You've lost 3 Pro Bowlers. I say only replaced Cox with Carter. Fletcher Cox was your best defensive tackle last year. I'm talking a collective group, not just one guy, but the group. You haven't replaced those 3 talented guys. Those are 3 starters. Those are 3 leaders. Whatever I think of Reddick was your best pass rusher. How in the world do you think that you have replaced those guys with Cam Jurgens, Bryce Huff, and Milton Williams? Milton Williams is not better than Fletcher Cox right now. Fletcher Cox is still better than him. And they're moving them out the end. Get younger versions of them. You don't have those guys. You don't have these guys. How in the world? Listen to this. You guys are now saying you haven't been able to replace them. Have the Eagles lost too many important players to get back to an NFC title game? I think you have. You're replacing them with unknowns and people you don't know. There's just too many guys that these aren't just dudes. This is not like losing Kaiser White. And for the record, you haven't been able to replace TJ Edwards yet and now Kaiser White. I want you to think about something here. In the last 2 years, you haven't been able to replace Edwards and Kaiser White You haven't been able to replace Isaac Seumalo. You haven't been able to replace, in my opinion, you won't be, Kelsey. Now you've got to replace Reddick. Now you've got to replace Fletcher Cox. How in the world are you continuing to keep your Super Bowl window open when over the last 2 years, you've lost 6 starters out of your 22? You're losing too many good players over the last 2 years. Avonte Matt, and well, Marcus Epps, you've not been able to replace him. You didn't replace your 2 linebackers from last year. Now you've got to replace Kelsey, Reddick, and Cox. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 7 actually out of your 22 starters. You've lost 7 starters over the last 2 years that were important cogs to get you to that Super Bowl in 22 that you guys like to talk about all the time. And Gardner Johnson, does he cover the Epps? We'll see. How do you know that Gardner Johnson 22 was just a one-year wonder? He wasn't that great. He was great in making turnovers and big plays. But when it came to technique, Bear Brooks and I used to talk about that all the time. He wasn't the best at it. St. Vic of the Cushion is here. Yeah, well, you better hope so. That guy hasn't won dick in his entire 25-year career as an NFL coordinator. I mean, Steve, let me ask you this. The guy in Kansas City has 4 Super Bowl rings. Shit, Jim Schwartz has a Super Bowl ring as a coordinator. In 25 years, Vic Fangio doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. You find that odd? Why wouldn't you have hired a guy with a Super Bowl ring? Or is that overrated? Matt Patricia's got 3. But everyone knows Belichick was the defensive coordinator in New England. I mean, it's the luck of the draw. Oh, so Jalen Hurts was lucky to get there in 22. Okay. Luck of the draw. Okay, Silz, we suck. We get it. I didn't say he sucked. I said that you guys are thinking that your football team has a Super Bowl window open. I got Dick Train trying to get this. Look what Dick Train just said. Jason Kelsey was Washington, was first-team All-Pro. Hassan Reddick, last 2 years at 27 sacks. Cam Jurgens is an upgrade. There you go, Dick Train. Keep it going, baby. Keep talking. The more you talk, the more you validate me. Vic Fangio is better than Kyle Shanahan easily. Not happening. Vic Fangio's been in the league 25 years and done nothing. What's he done that's significant? Tell me. What's Kellen Moore done, for that matter? Who's he developed? Dak? Okay. Whatever you think. I thought you guys said Dak sucks. So wait, that's another point. Isn't it funny, Xander? Dak's garbage. He's terrible. Well, you got the guy that developed him. How does that work if Dak sucks? That was his coach for 5 years. But now he's better? How? Wait, hey, I hadn't thought about that. Hang on for a minute. So Dak Prescott, how many people think Dak is a better quarterback than Jalen? Regular season, he is. Okay, regular season, there's not an issue there with that. Everyone knows it's true. But Kellen Moore was his coach for 5 years. So if Dak sucked, he sucked. Twiz, better passer. Well, but Twiz, once again, remember something. 22 Hurts is better than Dak Prescott. 23 Hurts, being a drop back guy, he's not better than Dak. He's not a better passer than Dak Prescott. He's just not. And he's got less talent around him. He's got CD and a bunch of nobodies. The tight end's getting there. That kid, Jake Ferguson. He's coming along. Okay, so Dak sucking and choking. Well, your coordinator was there for that entire time. All of a sudden now he's better because he's got Hurts. He stunk out loud with Herbert. Why is Kellen Moore going to change his fortunes in Philly? Dak is better than Purdy? Is Prescott better than Purdy? Purdy's awful efficient, but that's play calling. And there's a ton of talent. Probably Dak's better. Prescott's probably better than Purdy. Yeah. Prescott's probably better. They got a better running back. They got the second best collection of talent next to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. I'd say Dak's better than Purdy. Yeah. What do you have, 34 touchdowns, 9 picks? Hurts will never throw for 30 touchdowns or 4,000 passing yards. He'll never see that, ever. Here's one thing I'm convinced of. Hurts will never in a single season have 4,000 passing yards and 30 touchdowns at the same time. Won't happen. He's not that talented as an arm thrower. He's just not. And Mr. International goes, I disagree. Well, he hasn't done it yet. So, I mean, going into year 4 now, guy, and he had 1,000. Hey, once again, too, what Mr. International doesn't get, your boy Wentz had 2 receivers that had less than 500 yards receiving, and he threw for $4,000 and 30 touchdowns. What's Hurts' excuse? I mean, what's Hurts' excuse? Even Wentz threw for $4,000 with nobody. Silz, quick question. Will the Eagles draft a quarterback first within the next 3 years? Yes. 3rd year. Pickett's got a better arm than Hurts. He's all over the place. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think Matt Canada helped him a lot. Moore is a strong play caller, but he does not deserve credit for Dak, just like Kingsbury does not get the credit for Mahomes. Why? He recruited him, developed him. They had the number 1 offense in the country when he was at Texas Tech. Why wouldn't he get the credit for that? He also gets credit for winning 11 games in an NFC West with Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan in it. I mean, yes, he does. You think that's just by coincidence that Caleb Williams worked with Kingsbury last year also and Lincoln Riley? He's going to be the number 1 overall pick? Or do you think that's just by happenstance? Come on, dog. Coaching matters, especially when you're talking top picks in the draft and arm talent. It took Elway 10 years to throw for 4K. That's a different league. That's a different league. There was one, get this, there was one guy who threw for 4,000 yards from 1969 until 1984. And that was Namath. The league is 10. Dude, Baker Mayfield threw for $4,000. Are you trying to tell me in his 4 years that Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback than John Elway? Sure. Nice try, kid. Nice try. Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback than Dan Marino or John Elway because he threw for 4 games. Ugh. Mud on. It's a different league, dude. Not going there. Not going there. Silz, what's your opinion on the hip tackle ban? A lot of missed tackles. They want it. Cosmo, the reason for the ban on the hip tackle, the NFL didn't like that scoring was down. 304, Cowboys offense was way more smooth without Moore. McCarthy put a quota on Moore to run the ball, and Moore lost them games because he didn't want to run. That's what's going to happen in Philadelphia too. Absolutely, 304. I thought Kellen Moore actually in my opinion, I think it was more Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy worked with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Kellen Moore worked with some dude at Boise State. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't look at Kellen Moore and go, wow, what a great coordinator. Only you guys in Philly are saying that. Because you know why? You have wishful thinking. You're hoping he's great. And you don't apply that same, hey, 304, they don't apply that same makeup. Dak sucks. Jalen's better than Dak. Well, not really true. Well, Jalen went to a Super Bowl. Okay, Rex Grossman. You and Rex Grossman have the same achievement. You got a team to a Super Bowl. Congratulations. That don't make you great. That's funny. Getting a team to the Super Bowl doesn't make you a great career and doesn't give you a great career. It gives you a brief moment, like Foles. Jalen Hurts has not had a great career. He's had an okay one. Would anybody say that Rex Grossman or Jimmy Garoppolo have great careers? They had great moments. Okay? I mean, right? Josh Allen must be less than Rex Grossman. Why? Because they went to a Super. Why? Those guys went to a Super Bowl? Dude, Josh Allen is a superior player to him. Okay? It's not close. James, thank you. We talked about Mahomes and all of yesterday. Sonny Cumbie was his quarterback coach, who's now at TCU. Cumbie also recruited Mahomes while Cliff was at ATM. Moore also was the same age as Dak, and he became quarterback coach year one of Dak. I think Kellen Moore is okay. I don't think he's a great coordinator. I think he's okay. Silz, what I don't understand is why the hell they don't go back to the RPO. What are they seeing that we aren't? Corey, I'm going to put it to you this way, Corey. I'll jump back on the Hurts bandwagon if you go back to 22 and getting back to a Super Bowl. If you don't, he'll never. He's not that talented. He's not. It would, you know what that would be asking? I appreciate it, James. Thank you very much. Hey, I read it, Xander. Hey, that'd be like asking Purdy to start running. It's not his game. That's not his game. Hey, Brock, we need you to run more. Why would I want him to run when he's proficient and he's accurate as hell? Biggest mistakes the Eagles are making is making him a pocket passer. And you know what, Stay? I think they did the same shit with Wentz. That's why the development of holding on to the football too long. And can I tell you this, guys? And you tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I think Carson Wentz, when he got hurt at the LA Coliseum, the Eagles were not going to run him ever again because that guy played like Josh Allen. He never played like Josh Allen after Los Angeles. Am I right? He never played. When he came into the league, you know what I was saying? This guy looks like Brett Favre. Swear to you. Okay? Swear to you. I went, this guy's freaking Brett Favre. He played with that reckless abandon. And when he got hurt in LA, the Eagles front office and front brass did the same thing they're doing to Hurts. They're trying to overprotect him. Instead of letting Wentz go out there, and then when Wentz got hurt in that Seattle game, that was the end of him. Then he became injury prone. And it developed holding on to the ball too long. And that's where the sacks came. When they took that element of him running, I'm talking Carson Wentz, away from him after Los Angeles, you're right, guys. I went back and watched those first games. I did this last week on Carson Wentz. He was spectacular in 17. He was spectacular. Even in that LA Ram game, he was running all over the place. He looked like Josh Allen. That is the closest player I've ever seen to Josh Allen. It was the closest I've ever seen. I'm like, this guy's Josh Allen. He got hurt and he came back. He never looked like that again. He held on to the ball, and he's not that talented. That's why Hurts's INTs went up. He's not that talented. Sacks. And one thing he does, though, is he threw picks instead of getting sacked, fumble, field position lost. That's the difference. He's smarter than Wentz. He'd rather throw a pick where Wentz is dropping the ball inside the 20, field positions lost, field goal, touchdown, whatever. How many times you watch Wentz pounding the ball, hanging in the pocket, instead of taking off running? That was by design not to run him. I think the Eagles are doing the same shit to him that they did to Carson Wentz. Go back and watch that Los Angeles Rams game that he gets hurt in. He ran am I right? He fucking ran the ball in his last play in 17, did he not? And he was doing it on a bum wheel. Did he throw that touchdown that last play? Or did he, was it like a rollout or something? And he rolled out and threw that final play, and then they carted him off the field and he was never to be seen again. I thought he ran in on a bad wheel. Well, what happened? No, hey, Carson, we can't have you do that. No more running. Well, he started holding on to the ball too long. Frank left to become a head coach. And Doug was trying to turn him into a pocket guy like they're doing Hurts. You turned an MVP guy, who was Carson Wentz, who finished second that year, won the Burt Bell MVP award. Okay? And won the MVP award. Now, look, the one thing we all agree about, this guy, he doesn't have the mental makeup to overcome deficiencies, where Hurts does. They change Wentz. They're changing Hurts, and they'll do it to whomever replaces Hurts. Eagles play quarterback how they want, how the owner wants, not how the quarterback plays. Arthur, that's my contention. You're playing a guy out of his skill set. I mean, hey, Josh Allen. If you took Josh Allen's running ability away from him, that would kill him. Hey, Joe Burrow, run more. Why? I think one of the elements that hurts Herbert is that he ran more at Oregon. I think he's gonna run more in Los Angeles. I think he's gonna get out in the perimeter more. Because he ran more at Oregon. You put more of that element, and I'm not saying he's Josh Allen or Jalen, but you put that element that you have to defend that, coordinators have to defend that. Okay? Has to defend that. Everyone, let's see here. Same player, just have a fear of reliving an injury. All I'll say is this to you. The Eagles, they wrecked that career of Wentz. And Wentz wasn't smart enough. Wentz never held on to the ball his first 3 years in the game. He never held on to the ball. After Los Angeles, he did. Why? Because they were telling him not to run. Hence, tackle, sack, fumble, field goal, touchdown. And that was the unraveling. And like I said, Seattle was the nail in the coffin. It was totally the nail. And now here you go. You're doing the same. You know what's funny? Your organization's behaviors don't change much. This Vic Fangio thing where he's getting a lot of autonomy has changed a little bit. Okay? I was there in LA. Wentz ran and dove, tore ACL and kept playing and threw a touchdown and walked off the field before halftime. Yeah, I thought, hey, senor, wasn't it like a couple seconds left before halftime and they carted him in or he walked off, right? Dude, he was sensational in that game. He walked into that LA Coliseum, and I was like, wow, he was something special. I know you guys hate him, and I know you don't like me talking like this about him. But before they ruined him, he was special. He was a special ball player. Okay? Anthony's right. Wentz looked like he was going to change the NFL. And then he unraveled. Mahomes and Allen came in. Hey, I thought that Carson Wentz was a better talent than Josh Allen. I did. I thought he was better. He never got away from how they coached him in Philly. And then when he got to Indianapolis, he had a pretty good year in Indianapolis. But what did they have there? They had Jonathan Taylor. They weren't really asking him to run that much. He had a really great year that year. But people, they gloss over it because of the owner who was high on dope or something. And being a dope that he is, Jim Irsay, didn't see 27 touchdowns and 6 picks and a 68% completion percentage and a 9-8 in the AFC. And found out that the Jags were actually good when they lost that last game. They were actually good. We just had a shitty coach, an Urban Liar. I mean, it's not that hard to look at Wentz and what happened. There's a lot of institutional disasters that were surrounding him and his own undoing. But now what you got here is, and this is why you guys are making excuses up for Jalen. You know why? You don't want to see the same shit happen to him, but it's happening in front of your eyes and you know it. Every organization doesn't want their quarterback to run. Josh Allen is way bigger quarterback. Senor, I still don't think I don't want him running the way he runs. I mean, this guy looks to run for contact. I don't need that. I don't want that. It's just a matter of time before there's a catastrophic injury. Then it affects his entire game. I'm not looking for that with him. He's got to, and I think what Joe Brady's done is they're kind of trying to pull that shit back, that off the reservation kind of. If you notice, when it comes to coaching him, and look, I love Ken Dorsey. You know he's a Cane. You know how much I love him. The problem that they had was they did a really great job at scripting out the first half. And he was lights out in the first half. What would happen? They get into the second half when the opposing team had made their adjustments, and they were all over the board. You saw most of his turnovers in the second half because Ken wasn't an experienced enough coordinator to understand they needed to stay within their rails. But once teams figured out what they were trying to do, they could not overcome. It was poor coaching. Brady knew what to do. And Brady earned his confidence in that Dallas game when they only threw 10 passes or 15 passes. You don't need to throw the ball 45 times, son. We can beat them other ways. You have to be like an orchestra leader. That's what we need you to be. And he was more proficient at it. Okay? Wentz needed to be coached hard, and after the Super Bowl, they lost the coordinators and quarterback coaches who helped them. Doug and Wentz didn't really connect, and Howie didn't do any favors in the draft. Hey, Pete, well, let me ask you this. What do you think the relationship between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts is on a scale of 1 to 10? What do you think their relationship is? If you had to say, what's the relationship, you think? Okay. Taylor goes, your boy Josh Allen got Ken Dorsey fired, but Allen is great. Yeah, well, your boy Jalen Hurts got his best friend fired, lost his job. Remember, they used to play Tonka toys together. And they used to like do little spitballs and whatever they used to do when they were boys and kids, you know. Got his best friend fired. Kyle says 3 or 4. 2. Jalen knows he's a dead man walking. Lame duck. CEC Vet doesn't want to give Wentz the credit that if he's not on your football team, you don't win home field advantage or the Super Bowl. Philadelphia Eagles have never won a Super Bowl. Well, they've only won one, but you've never gone to a Super Bowl without having home field in your entire history or during the Super Bowl era. You've had home field advantage. And without it, you don't go. That was not going to be any different in 17. Okay? It's not. I knew it was an issue when Hurts had to tell Nick to calm down on the sidelines. I'm just saying, once again here, when you're looking, and this all spawned because we were talking about the loss of Jason Kelce, Reddick, and Fletcher Cox. Had the Eagles lost too many important players to get back to an NFC title game. You haven't replaced that type of player yet. And someone brought up the fact, and we got on the Hurts, and someone said, well, Silz, I don't understand how he and the organization are walking away from what he does well. And I said, well, he'll never win again. They changed Carson Wentz the same way. After Los Angeles, he never ran again. He never ran. Jalen was around Saban for 3 years. He knows good coaches. He knows Nick's an idiot. And Lincoln Riley too, Anthony. One thing about Lincoln Riley, he can put offense together. There have been offensive people he did coach Joe Mixon. Now, Mixon was under Bob Stoops, but he was a coordinator on that team. Riley was a coordinator on when Joe Mixon was there. So, he knows talent. Okay? He knows it. Hurts and Nick are two different personalities. It's not going to work in the long run. The Weasel Howie Roseman better recognize it. I think they do, and that's why they brought in his replacement, or hopefully his replacement. Corey says, I don't hate Carr. You shouldn't hate him. His time was valuable in the Eagle organization. Didn't end like you wanted it. Sure had a great moment in it. And you can debate and try to change the narrative that, hey, he would never have won the Super Bowl. You don't know that. That's just an opinion. Facts are, he did a lot to help that team. That 17 team, I don't believe Nick Foles could have carried that football team for 17 games to a Super Bowl. No way. I think he got hot in the playoffs and won. You can make the same narrative for that. Would Foles have carried that team to an 11-2 record? I don't think so. I don't think so. The guy was fired once already. Silz, would you bring him in as a backup? No, I don't need it. I would have brought in Justin Fields before I brought in Carson Wentz. The team got weapons for Carson Wentz too. No, they never had any the year he threw for $4,000. Not one receiver had over 500 yards on that team. Jalen Hurts has the greatest talent in the history of the offense being put together in Philly. 2 1,000-yard receivers, never happened. Record-breaking 100-catch guys, never happened. 2 consecutive years over 1,100 yards rushing out of your running backs. 3 All-Pros in the O-line. Great. I said wide receiver, LJ. I didn't say tight end. Okay? Greatest offensive weapons in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles are behind Hurts. No question. And 4 All-Pros. You didn't have 4 All-Pro linemen in 17. You didn't. Greg Ward was the best receiver that Carson Wentz had. And by the way, Wentz did more with less. Facts. Think about that. He did more with less. Philadelphia, over the last 3 years, and I would say over the last 3 years, Alshon Jeffries is a bum. Decent stretch, but a bum. While your boy Josh Allen and Ken Dorsey were whatever guy. I know Greg would have caught that ball in the Super Bowl. And you know what? Hey, Matt, always remember this. You're going to have people in here try to change the narrative that Wentz had massive talent around him. He never did. Hurts has the best talent that any quarterback in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, dating, pick a year, in the history of the Eagles. No one's had more talent. No one's had more talent than Jalen. No one. Alshon Jeffries versus Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. Really? Sure. Whatever you feel. Okay? Wentz was making practice squad players look like starters. He was. Hurts could never do that. Can't even find number 3 wide receiver. Had 36 total catches out of the position. Now, is that by design? Probably. But I'll say it one more time. Can't read a defense. And that hasn't changed. And now you've got a coordinator that all of you are raving about. You guys keep telling me that Dak Prescott sucks. And Dak Prescott's horrible. And Dak Prescott's this. So I'm not even going to debate that with LJ. 2 1,000-yard receivers. 2 all-pro offensive tackles. A left guard that was all-pro. A center that was all-pro. Quarterback that was all-pro. I mean, dude, please. Every single guy had a career year last year in Philly. AJ had the most receiving yards in Eagle history. On the other end, you had another guy with 1,100 yards. You've never had that back-to-back years in the Super Bowl era. You've had a tight end go over 500 yards the last 2 years. You've had a running backs average 1,200 yards rushing. And you've had 4 Pro Bowlers in your O-line. What the fuck are you talking about? 17's offense was not better than this 22-23 group. It's not close. Except the quarterback's not better. The difference between 17 and 22 and 23 is Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz and Nick Foles were better than what the quarterback can deliver now. He can't deliver that. He hasn't. He hasn't. Those guys delivered a Super Bowl and an NFC championship. And Foles got to a divisional game the following year. That 17 and 18 team went further in 2 years. And that thing fell apart under Hurts. It was better coaching and better quarterback play. There's no getting around it. The results dictate it. Are you trying to tell me you think that 2 years now, 22 and 23, Hurts outplayed the quarterback room in 17 and 18? Where? They were 4-1 in the postseason. No. Yeah, they were 4-1 in 2 years. 4-1 in the postseason, 17 and 18. And if your hero Jeffries doesn't drop the football, they're in another conference title game. Where in the world do you think that Jalen Hurts outplayed Wentz and Foles on those 2 teams? You're out of your minds. And the coaching was better. You're at the difference between 17 and 18. The difference between 17 and 18 is the quarterback play. I mean, Am I wrong? That's right, Matt. He can't read defenses. Carson never won a playoff game. Right. Okay. I didn't say that, dickbag. I said that quarterback room and the quarterback play on the Eagles in 2017 and 18 was superior to anything you have right now. And you know how that's a fact? You won a title and you were 4-1 in the postseason. End of story. You have nothing to come back on. Nothing. Zero. Look at Steve. I agree with Dan too much today. I feel dirty. Okay. Hey, man, think about that. You guys, I mean, we got on this because somebody goes like this. Why are they changing him? Same way they changed Wentz. They can't get out of their way. Okay? They should do what the Ravens did with Lamar for Hurts instead of hoping he'll magically become a pocket passer. Great one, Pete. But here's the one thing they did wrong. They panicked in the playoffs and had him throw the ball 47 times. They reverted back to something he's not good at. If you see Lamar Jackson with 40 passes, he ain't winning that game. He's not good enough. Hey, Big Silz, if Foles played quarterback in 22, does he beat Patrick Mahomes with a 10-point lead? Absolutely. I'll tell you one thing. Hey, Ace, that guy's like Eli in the postseason. You put that dude in the postseason, I'll take that guy over a lot of guys. It was crazy. I mean, hey, dude, well, wait, over Mahomes? He beat Brady. And he beat. So wait, Foles beat Brady and Belichick. So you want me to think that he can't beat Reed and Mahomes? I would think he could. Oh, wait, you got Nick, though. So I don't know. Somebody getting away. Silz, could it be possible the Eagles trade one of the second-round picks to move up in the draft? If it's Bowers, maybe. Okay? If Wentz had Devontae and AJ that year, we would all love Wentz. Had nothing like that. Had nothing remotely close to that his entire time in Philly. Jeffries was kind of a good player, but he played when he wanted. Another one of those ass-bag, meathead wide receivers that just, quite frankly, stupid. But you know what? You know how you know that this conversation aggravates people and makes people uncomfortable is because you know I'm telling the truth that in 2017 and 18, the quarterback play was better on your Eagle team than it is right now. You know why? The results predicate that. You have nothing to fight back on. Nothing. Zero. Look at LJ. He says that Jalen took Carson's job. No, he was given it. He never earned anything. They gave it to him because he was traded. There was no competition. They gave it to him. Jalen Hurts hasn't earned dick in Philly. Hence, why you got the lesser quarterback of all the quarterbacks in the league fighting for a Super Bowl. He really played well when he was in the Super Bowl. Hey, he did. 22 Jalen Hurts is good. 22 Jalen Hurts is great. You don't want that anymore. And again, guys, I would have a different conversation if you were talking about Jalen 22 than Jalen 23. I swear to you I would. But now that you're getting further away, and you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is that you guys keep telling me how bad Dak is. And now he's got Dak's coordinator and the guy that developed him. And all of a sudden, now he's a great coordinator. How's that possible? He coached the guy you hate. Okay? How's that possible? How did Kellen Moore become this great coordinator when he coached Dak the majority of his career? How? When did you guys all of a sudden dub him a great hire? When he had the guy you hated the most in Prescott, who's got a great win record against you. How high do you think the Eagles can move up with their first and second pick? Ninth with the Bears? So you want to use 22 and 50, right? You want to use 22 and 50 to move up the ninth? I don't know that's enough. Get inside the top 10? This whole debate stems from the fact FO keeps making the same mistakes and they'll never be held accountable. Anthony, they're doing the same shit. Get this. Anthony, you tell me if I'm wrong. Anthony, you don't agree with me a lot. Is that correct? You do not. You give me as much shit as anybody. Okay? You guys do, right? Especially you, Anthony. Before I ask you this question, you don't agree with me. I would say out of 10, right, Anthony? You probably agree maybe 2 or 3 times. Right? Okay. Well, let me ask you this. After Wentz, and I'm going to take a timeout, then we're going to get into the top 10 offensive linemen. After Los Angeles, when Wentz was playing like Josh Allen prior to that, versus how he played and what the organization did after, did they not change him? The answer is yes. After 22, the Eagles changed Hurts. Am I wrong? They did. They made him something he's not. Do you agree, Anthony, that both guys, if they were coached, A.J. Brown was the only piece we added in 22? Silz, take back. It's okay, man. He's a fan. Dick Train's got a right to do that. But they're doing the same thing to Jalen that they did to Wentz. They changed the quarterbacks based on the kind of play the owner wants, and what the owner wants isn't sustainable. Correct. Okay? They changed. I told you this before in the first hour. Carson Wentz looked like Josh Allen. That 17 season, he was remarkable. I watched some of those games. Insane great. He gets hurt in LA, never the same. Because they changed him. They didn't want him to run, hold the ball more, sack, fumble. Change of possession, change of field position. Eagles are starting to get beat. Plus, you had all those coaches leaving. Get this. Jim Schwartz wanted out so bad and wanted out so bad of the organization, he retired. And this last year, he was just named the assistant NFL coach of the year. It just shows you how bad he wanted out. Steve, it's not Dick Bag, it's Dick Train. Dick Train. Let's get it right. I hope they're old, or I'm going to feel bad. Silz, do you project Bowers being better than Goddard? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Come on, Silz. Schwartz's health was bad. Is why he left. Well, here he is. Must have cleaned up like a Urban Meyer Headache pill. That thing that Urban Meyer did on the sideline at Ohio State, I was laughing. Because he pulled that same shit at Florida. I mean, like he had a brain tumor. No, it was from all the headache of all the lies that catching up. That's what happened. Hey, all right. On the sidelines there, I wanted to kick him in the nuts. I can't stand that guy because he's the biggest liar going. Silz, you're a fan of 22 Jalen? Yes. Well, I was a fan of 01 Canes. Nothing will be the same again. Okay. Probably so. Probably so. Absolutely. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Sills, I think Brock Bowers gets drafted by the Bears at 9. Dude, that I could see the Jets grabbing his ass too at 10. I could see the Jets grabbing him. Okay. Yes, I am, Slasher. I think that kid Verse is probably going to go somewhere between 10 and 14 in there, 10 and 15. No, you wasn't a fan of bashing Jalen all 2022. I thought he was a spectacular player in 22. I still thought he had issues when it came to reading, but sports radio, how many times did I come on this program and go, that guy, 3rd and long, and he breaks that contain, gets out in open space, and he's running up the sidelines. He must have broke 100 people's backs. God, man, every time he took off, it was insane. Jalen Hurts is feared with his complete game, not half a game. Okay? Sills, how concerned should anyone interested in Wilson be with his medical report? A player's best ability is availability. Drafting another injured linebacker would suck. Completely. Completely true. I hadn't heard about his injury report, but if you're saying that he, now that you think about it, probably puts Cooper back above him. He's a really good player, though, man. He's a really good football player. Odunze, man, is a good-looking prospect. I think he's going to be the best player in the draft. Okay? Anthony says this, I'd rather have 5 years of 22 and Jalen Hurts than 10 years of 23. That's, Anthony, that is exactly what I'm saying. You give me 5 years of 22, you're going to win a Super Bowl. You give me 10 years of 23, you'll never. No matter who you have as coordinator. Andy Reid couldn't win. He's not that. Lamar's not going to win throwing the ball 47 times. Lamar's going to win with balance. That's why they went and got Henry. They've got to have 100 yards or 85 yards out of the run game. And hopefully you get 40 from Lamar. Then you get another 160 yards. Look, here's the remedy for the Ravens this coming season. 175 yards passing, 180, 70 from Derrick Henry, and 40 from Lamar Jackson. You know what that comes out to? 300 yards in total offense. That's what they're going to look at. That's the balance. They didn't even have a 1,000-yard receiver on that Ravens team last year. Zay Flowers didn't have 1,000 yards. Chop Robinson, a better edge rusher. I like Chop. Is Chop better than Verse? I think he's a better athlete. I think he's a better athlete, but Verse looks, well, how about this? I think he's a stronger athlete, Chop. Verse is probably a more fluent and athlete than Chop. If you watch him, you see it. You see the athlete. The kid from UCLA is a freak. He can play. Okay, that kid can play. He can. He can totally play. All right, I'm going to take a timeout. We're going to come back and I happen to agree with Xander. I personally think that the Eagles have a chance to draft an offensive lineman here. I'm going to show you something that I've never seen before in my entire life. And I've probably been doing drafts. And I like this time of the year because I like to look at the athletes and go back and look at some of their tape. And I was talking to Brian Baldinger about this last night. And Baldy said the same thing. This is insane. And what's in the draft this year. We're going to look at the offensive tackles, and I'm going to make a point to you when we do this, that don't be upset if the Eagles draft an OT. Don't be upset. Okay? Continue the conversation. By the way, we'll do a little more wrestling talk too with, hey, Jason Kelsey's getting in the ring on Saturday night. Cena's there, and so is Stone Cold. And The Rock's there. So you should be prepared. Oh, by the way, Angelo Cataldi, thank you for reminding me. We'll be on Monday. And we'll have him on. He would have done today, but he's at a symposium at Villanova. So we will get him on, and we will talk with him. Thanks for reminding me, King Dickbag. I appreciate it. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.